Good day everyone! So we are the group 1 and today we will be discussing to you the physical self and the sexual self. I am Hadel Antolin together with my group mates Jazz Blaine, Kaiser Fabian, Jonabel Taladro, Charles Stephen Yanson, and Joel Macale. So hi everyone! Once again, I am Hadel and I will be discussing to you all about physical self. The physical self, the biological blueprint, the physical self, environmental conditioning, and the physical self, achieving physical well-being. So the first question I am going to ask you is, what is physical self? So the physical self is the most crucial aspect of self in one's physical features. It talks about the physical attributes of a person, including our face or body structure, our height, weight, and fitness. We should also consider the attributes that a person possesses, such as their physical competencies, their valuation of physical worth, and their own perception of beauty. So in this section, we will be going to identify the factors that shape our physical self. It includes the biological and environmental factors, as well as the issues associated with physical self, such as our health, hygiene, nutrition, the standards of beauty, and the other social-cultural factors that we will be going to discuss further later. So as I have mentioned, the factors that affects one's physical self is the biological blueprint, the environmental conditioning, and achieving physical well-being. So the first factor that affects our physical self is the biological blueprint. When we talk about the biological blueprint, it is all about our DNA, traits, and genes. Dito na pumapasok yung concept of heredity. The concept of heredity is triggered by genetic transformations and biological development. So, heredity is defined as the transmission of traits from parents to offspring. So, these traits are embedded with specific informations within one's genes. So, these genes shapes our bodies, our height, weight, skin color, hair color, and our physical characteristics. So that traits is comes from our mother and father. We inherited our physical trait in both our parents. So the concept of heredity can also be attributed to the concept of phenotype and genotype. Genotype refers to the specific information embedded within one's genes. Not all genotypes translate to an observed physical characteristic, while phenotype, it is the physical expression of a particular trait. So ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng genotype and phenotype? When we say genotype, this can only be observed or determined through blood testing. On the other hand, phenotype can be directly observed. When we say phenotype, makikita mo yon yung resemblance mo from your mother and father through your naked eye. But when we talk about the genotype, it is different. It can only be determined through blood testing. So dito na pumapasok yung determining our DNAs, kung sino ba yung kung saan mo ba nakuha yung traits na ito. Is it from your mother or from your father? Another concept is the concept of dominant and recessive gene. For example, a mother is white-skinned and a father is dark-skinned. Their child is white-skinned. Therefore, the mother has a dominant gene while the father has a recessive gene. This just means that dominant and recessive genes are dependent on alleles. So these alleles are alternate versions of a particular gene. Since human cells carry 2 copies of chromosomes, they have 2 versions of each genes, and that versions of genes contains a dominant and recessive trait. As what I have mentioned earlier, that our DNA plays a vital role in the biological concept affecting our physical self. So the physical self contains DNA. DNA is the most crucial genetic information to be gathered. Within each chromosome that we have has a DNA, which is a nucleic acid that contains the genetic instructions specifying the unique blueprint of an individual's physical features. So, the DNA contains a unique blueprint of a physical feature of a person. So, this means that no two individuals have the same DNA. Every people around the world have unique DNAs. So, these cellular components triggers our physical growth and maturations from our childhood to adulthood. So maturation is known as the completion of genetic character with an organism or the unfolding of an individual's inherent traits or potential. Maturation enables us to walk, run, talk, eventually result in physical changes that are evident in the adolescent stage. So our physical trait can be evident through time. So the traits that we get from our mother and our father develops through time as we mature, and that process is called maturation. So another factor that affects our physical self is the environmental conditioning. Not only our genetic information or the biological concepts affects our physical self, but also the environmental conditioning influences our physical self. As we grow, we are exposed to a lot of environmental influences, such as our family, friends, and acquaintances, or we are exposed to schools, we are exposed to social gatherings. So that shapes our physical self also, including our social networks, the societal expectations, and the cultural practices that we have or the norms that we have. You also have to take note that our family is not only responsible for the factors of heredity, but also our family is responsible for how we take care of ourselves. They are our foundation, the foundation of our development. They are the first social group that we interact with. They are our first environment. So another factor that affects our physical self is achieving physical well-being. So it is important that we achieve our physical well-being by taking good care of ourselves. There is nothing wrong with enhancing our physical self or improving our physical self. What wrong is when we focus too much on physical beauty and we disregard our health. We must take care of ourselves and our body. Here are some tips. First of all, you must have healthy eating. We need to have the right combination of food or having the right diet that will result us to having a healthy skin, ideal weight, and a better stamina. It will help us ensure our health and sustenance. We must embrace a healthy lifestyle. We should avoid drinking, smoking, and other unhealthy habits that would reduce the risk of illness and diseases and make our immune system stronger. Physical activities, we should involve to many physical activities such as walking, running, going to the gym, and sports that would also contribute to a healthier body. Next is having the right hygiene. We must also take care of our body by maintaining a hygiene regimen that can make us feel good about ourselves. First of all, that right hygiene is, for example, washing our hands before eating and after eating, and then we have to brush our teeth. We should make sure that we are presentable in front of other people. Lastly is the confidence in ourselves is the best makeup. The best makeup is confidence. You must make sure that you love yourself and you love what you really are. You must embrace everything about yourself and have a positive outlook toward various situations and problems. Accepting who we really are will surely result to optimal physical well-being. So these tips will help us achieve a physical well-being.
Hi, I'm Jess, and our discussion for today will be all about sexual self. So this discussion will focus on the three parts of sexual self, which the first one is sexuality, experiences, desire to be happy, and discrimination. The second one is sexual self, which is all about focus on the body. And the third one will be the sexual self, the biology of sex. But before that, we need to learn first what is sexuality. So there are means through which sexuality is experienced. We experience sexuality from childhood to old age. Sexuality is experienced as means of the body. Sexuality is experienced by means of belief. And sexuality is experienced through relationships. Also, sexuality is something in the nature and nurture. They go a lot of experimentation to understand and verify their sexuality. So this experimentation is most common during adolescent period, which sometimes we are not sure about ourselves, so we undergo experimentation to understand and verify ourselves. Sexual concepts. So we have here 4 sexual concepts. First is the gender identity, which is in the mind. So your gender identity will depend on how you think your identity is. The second one is sexual orientation. So your sexual orientation will depend to whom are you sexually attracted to. Then the third one is gender expression. How to act, how to dress. So gender expression is your physical appearance and expression that you show to reflect what is your gender. Then the last is the biological sex. Your biological sex will depend on your hormones and your genitalia. In addition, sexual orientation is a dynamic spectrum and may change through time. So for those who are uncertain, their sexual orientation will change or may change through time. For instance, a person may always be heterosexual, predominantly heterosexual, occasionally homosexual, occasionally heterosexual, or always homosexual. So we just need to remember that they will all go to process of discovery. So your sexual orientation is discovered through time. Various experiences cannot be determined by clothes and gestures. So this is the opposite of the gender expression, which is because your sexuality will not be determined by clothes and gestures. Just like lesbians who are feminine but are still attracted to the same sex. Everyone desires to be happy. So everyone desires to be happy with their sexuality. Their sexuality gives them happiness in their relationship, happiness in physical and sexual relationship, which is because they are satisfied with their sexuality, free from disease, and acceptance and respect from the society. We have 4 areas of sexuality. We have physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. These areas of sexuality are interconnected with each other to prevent, to avoid, and to fight against discrimination. There are many forms of discrimination and abuse to gender. For instance, demeaning behavior, ignoring their existence, green jokes or dirty jokes, discrimination in workplace, and etc. So, gender discrimination, sometimes referred as sex-based discrimination or sexual discrimination, is an unequal treatment of someone based on the person's sex. So, for example, in workplace, it affects the terms of condition on how person is employed. So these are the solutions against discrimination. First is to stop treating person as a sex object. So we need to treat a person as a human being, which needs to be respected. Then the second one is zero tolerance against discrimination and abuse. those who discriminate and abuse should pay their consequences for them to learn their lesson. Then uphold the care of a whole person. So we can uphold care to the other person by showing our respect to their beliefs and their views. Sexual self that focuses on the body. A vital aspect of one's identity is the sexual, encompassing biological, physical, emotional, and social domains. While it is initially rooted in the distinguishing physical attributes found in men, which is penis, and women, which is vagina. Bodily transformation and development of secondary sexual characteristics during adolescence would eventually trigger psychological response, leading to the beliefs and behavior associated with sex. So there are many people who give much importance to their body, like their face, their appearance, their form, and strength, especially among young, single, man, and woman. But only few would be satisfied with the shape and condition of their bodies. Sexual self, the biology of sex. So at birth, sex is the biological feature that distinguishes males from female. It is their external genitals, which is penis for male and vagina for female. But there are observable changes in the human body that begin during puberty and adolescence, known as secondary sexual characteristics. So, the male, they grow facial and bodily hairs, developing of the Adam's apple, deepening of the voice, muscle development, and release of testosterone. And here in the Philippines, circumcision is considered as rite passage to adulthood among young men. And in female, menstruation began to occur, changes in hip, breast, and skin, release of estrogen, psychological changes in the reproductive system. Also, in puberty stage, males are capable of releasing sperm cell, and for women are egg cell. So, this observation of changes in males and females is caused by the release of hormones such as testosterone for males and estrogen for females, which triggers physiological changes in the reproductive system. And when triggered by the psychological changes, adolescents tend to experience sexual urges, and these sexual urges will cause the sexual stimuli to become more sensitive. During sexual intercourse, men reaches ejaculation and women reaches orgasm. Also, during sexual intercourse, refractory period of men is longer, while the refractory period of women is shorter and can have multiple orgasms. These bodily sensations are normal and typical in any sexual activity, since hormones produced within the body trigger these psychological responses. So those bodily sensations that we tackled a while ago are part of the sexual response cycle, which includes these four phases, which is the excitement, plateau, orgasm, and resolution. And completing this cycle would lead to sexual satisfaction. So when sexual urges feels during adolescent stage, it is a common occurrence to watch and read pornographic materials, engage in kissing and petting, performing masturbation, which is stimulating one's genital for sexual satisfaction. So adolescents were likely to engage in sexual activities that would satisfy those urges. However, the kind of sexual activities they engage in may vary during adolescent stage. Some medical professionals cited some health benefits of masturbation, which is better sleep, stress reliever, improved self-esteem, enhanced body image, and better alternative for sexual intercourse. Masturbation also decreases the chance to have unwanted pregnancy and acquiring sexually transmitted disease.
Hello everyone, I am Kaiser Fabian and I am here to discuss about sexual self. It contains the sexual identity and gender orientation, the consequences of sexual choice, and the obsession, body, art, and symbol. First is the sexual self, sexual identity and gender orientation. In here is biological sex. It depends on physical features, which means biological sex can be identified through the reproductive organs. For example, men have penis while women have vagina. Next is gender orientation. Gender is learned and embraced by the individual. It can be identified by what they chose to be, like the gay, where a man's heart chose to be a woman. It is beyond the biological domain. Unlike the biological sex, reproductive organs cannot define the gender. It is both personal and social constructed. It means that the surroundings and experiences can inherit and affect a person's gender. Next is gender roles, society's expectation of how men and women should act. Sometimes we are judged by other people because of what we can do, like a man who can be judged because he can't do hard jobs like weightlifting. Here, men should be strong and dominant, and women should be submissive and demure. This states that men must do the hard jobs while women's act must be opposite of men's. In aspects of sexual orientation, born as a man assumed to have a woman's trait, and born as woman behaves as a man. It means that in gender, a man can be whatever he wants to be. He can either have a man or a woman's gender. And now is the sexual self, the consequences of the sexual choices. Sexual intercourse, also known as copulation, is the reproductive act wherein the male organ or penis enters the female's reproductive tract or vagina. Teenage couples engaged in sexual intercourse are usually overwhelmed by the sensation they feel during the act. Some claim that they are in love when they do those things and are committed to each other. These are the risks of sexual intercourse. Early pregnancy. It occurs when a teenage couples do the sexual intercourse without protection, letting the sperm of the man enter the egg cell of the woman that will result into pregnancy at a young age. Emotional stress. As the teenage woman gets pregnant, she will become emotionally stressed as she will be burdened by the future of her life as she carries the child inside her womb. Next is health risk. Teenage pregnancy can be risky for the health of both mother and infant as they are not aware and uneducated about taking care of the child inside the womb. Next is school dropout. Teenage couples resulting to pregnancy can feel shy and stressed inside the school premises, which leads to dropping out. Sexually transmitted diseases. This occurs when a couple had sexual intercourse without having the protection or condoms. Sexually transmitted diseases or STD. It can be treated and cured and may have long-term consequences to health. STD can be transferred through exchanging fluids or genital contact. It usually happens when having sexual intercourse without protections or condom. It can cause different symptoms such as burning sensation when urinating, warts and sores or skin-colored bumps, and painful bowel movement. Surgery as the most intense treatment when the disease gets worse where it can't be treated by medicines anymore, and this may cause death if not treated. STD, Human Immunodeficiency Virus or HIV. It is the most alarming sexually transmitted disease as it can be transmitted through anal, oral or vaginal sex, and worse is breastfeeding. In other words, this virus can be transferred with the use of all body fluids, from saliva to semen. It comprises the immune system of its victim, letting in all possible illness can enter the body. Symptoms may occur once the virus has progressed within the body. HIV can be created when having sex with multiple partners without protections. For responsible sexual behavior, we should respect one's body to avoid consequences and maintaining respect with each other. Maturity in thoughts and deeds or being calm in sexual activities. being guided by one's personal beliefs and core values, knowing what's their worth, and they must not lose it because of sexual desire. And being future-oriented, meaning thinking of the future and being aware of the consequences after the act to control the overwhelming pleasure inside the body. The obsession to have a beautiful face and body, the tragedy of Michael Jackson, our endless survey to alter face. This shows that he was not satisfied with his face, so he used every cosmetics to mold his face into a more younger and appropriate face for him. Next is the demand of cosmetic surgery at skin, whiteners, etc. The demand gets higher as lots of people are into cosmetics, buying mostly all the beauty products for them to achieve their facial goals. The golden ratio, the perfect face. It is impossible to achieve, but people vie for it. Unsatisfied with their face are those who want to achieve the perfect face and changes the molds of their lives in order to attract people around them. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It is the big challenge to indicate inside than outside. Inside beauty is rare because it's hard to find a person with a good heart. People nowadays value the outside beauty like face and body. Youth can never be satisfied with their body. This statement pictures that the desire for their body appearance changes over time. Body art and status symbol, tattooing, scarification, piercing, and body painting. People nowadays like to get their body tattooed, scarred, pierced, and body painted just to entertain others, and also it looks cool for them.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Charles.
Good day! I'm Joel.
At this moment, we will give you a better understanding about the 46 terms that describe sexual attraction, behavior, and orientation.
But before that, did you know that these terms really matters?
Yes, you heard it right. It does matter because sexuality has to do something the way we identify ourselves.
Also, it determines our sexual experiences, our interests, preferences, and to whom we are attracted to.
So sit back and relax, enjoy a simple presentation.
Hi, I am allosexual, which means I experience having sexual attraction to anyone. I can be sexually attracted to someone. Pwede sa ibang tao, pwede rin naman sa'yo.
I identify myself as androsexual. I am only attracted sexually or romantically to men, males, or masculinity, regardless kung anong biological sex mo at birth. Kaya kahit kalalaki at heart ka, magugustuhan pa rin ko.
I consider myself as asexual. This only means that I don't experience any sexual attraction at all to anyone or any gender. But for some, they can have some experience to one person or multiple gender. Basta ako, I don't feel anything. Ayokong masaktan, no?
Hello, I'm a romantic, which means I have a little or short experience about romantic attraction. But most of the time, I don't feel anything for someone. But if you have something on me, maybe we can work it out.
Hi everybody, my sexual orientation is autosexual, which means I prefer to be sexually attracted with myself than others. Lams na des, you know it's normal. So please, stop the judgment you have in your heads right now.
Good day. I identify myself as autoromantic. All I can say is I love myself. It is very difficult for me to romanticize other people. The advantages is that it is less possible for me to get hurt because of having a romantic relationship with other people. It is way much better to be attracted to your own self, in my perspective. Kaya try nyo rin paminsan-minsan na hindi ka masaktan ng paulit-ulit. Yarn!
I am bi-curious. I am someone who has sexual relations with only one gender. Somehow, I am curious about exploring a same-sex relationship. You know, I am still exploring more about my sexuality.
Hi, I'm bisexual. Unlike bi-curious, I experience sexual and romantic relationships with one or more gender. I think people deserve to be loved no matter what gender they are. But that's only in my perspective. and I respect yours. Nagkakagusto ako sa iba't ibang gender, pero hindi ko pinagsasabay. Loyal ako, sana rin ikaw.
I am biromantic, which means I don't often like having sexual attraction to other people. I only experience romantic relationship with any gender. Di importante sa akin ang sex. Ang importante, love kita. Oo.
Nagtataka pa kayo ba't may kamukha ako? Same lang po kami ng mukha pero iba-ibang tao po kami. By the way, I am closeted. I am part of the LGBTQA+ community but I don't publicly share my asexual identity. It is because I don't want to be discriminated and to be treated unfairly by other people.
Unlike the closeted ones, I am part of the coming out, and yes, I do share my own sexual identity with my family, friends, and in public because, there are times when we needed it for your own peace. So to you, who is afraid, there is a perfect time and manner for you. Just wait.
I'm a part of Copiosexual. I don't feel any sexual attraction, but I desire to engage in sexual behavior and sexual relations. But you must remember, I don't feel any sexual attraction. So, let's see ba? China ko. So, bye.
So hello everyone, here is an information about LGBTQIA+. It is an acronym for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex, and asexual. The plus sign means that there are other sexual orientations and gender identities that are not included. You must remember that heterosexual are not included in the LGBTQIA community.
Demisexual. That is my sexual orientation. I already have experienced sexual attraction. Pero nararanasan ko lang yon pag may connection na ako sa isang tao, romantically or emotionally.
I consider myself as demi-romantic. Nagkakagusto lang ako sa isang tao romantically only if close kami. Chika ko lang, yung boyfriend ko, best friend ko before. Kaso magkaiba tayo. Ako nagustuhan, ikaw hindi.
Hi, I am fluid. There are times when I am into girls only. Pero as time passes by, nafa-fall ako sa best friend ko. Ewan ko ba? After that, I don't feel like I am sexually attracted again to girls. Bago-bago yung mga nagugustuhan ko simula nung may nagsabing, pare, mahal mo raw ako. Mahal ko na ata siya. OMG!
I bet she was so well, shit's a day. Ang girl doing up all of fun. So first of all and everything, I'm gay. No! I'm a girl at heart. Jacka bells. Woo! Pressure this. Send keks later. Bye.
What's up, pare? You know, pare, I'm attracted to to femininity. I don't know lang, pare, ha? But shucks, pare. Being feminine looks hot for me, pare. I don't care if you are trans, male or female, as long as you're feminine. It's possible to like you, pare.
What's up, Par? Lalaki ba tingnan? Well, I like to play basketball. And I'm not into girly things. I'm lesbian and I like girls.
Hi, being gray sexual. I rarely experience having sexual or attraction and having desires of sex. But I can be open to exploring sex, though I don't have interest on it. Sana all ka know. Another counterpart of my sexual orientation is gray romantic. They either rarely or frequently experience romantic attraction, but only to those similar gender.
Good day. So, first of all, let me tell you the difference between heterosexual and homosexual. So, heterosexual are those people who is attracted to their opposite sex. For instance, as a man, I am attracted to a woman. So, what am I? Of course, I'm heterosexual. Break lagi.
So hi guys, I'm here again for another trivia. Let us differentiate what is monosexual and polysexual. In short terms, monosexual can only be attracted to one gender or sexuality, while polysexual are those people who are attracted to multiple but not all genders.
Hi, I'm libidinous, which means I have an active sex drive and I'm really into sexual activities and desires. The opposite of my sexual orientation is the non-libidinous, which means they don't have an experience about sexuality and towards other person. Total opposite.
Being omnisexual, I am attracted to all gender identities and sexual orientation. I am open to all the people I met because for me, I respect and use their sexuality and identity as a person equally.
Hi, I am pansexual, which means that I am more attracted in personality regardless of the gender. I often get attracted to people romantically, sexually, and most importantly, emotionally.
Do you know that pansexual and panromantic are terms used interchangeably? However, these two have distinction. Panromantic is romantically attracted to person regardless of their gender. But do you know that some people may not experience romantic attraction to all genders to which they are sexually attracted? Yes, now you know.
I am a person who does not want to be labeled or identify my sexual orientation. Can you guess my sexual orientation? If you guess it right, I'm homosexual.
Hi, I want you to guess my gender identity or sexual orientation. My identity can be expressed depending on society's perception and assumption about me. I am a trans and I am able to live convincingly to my desired gender publicly. Can you guess my identity? You are right. If your answer is correct, great job.
So here's another trivia for you guys. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people may also identify themselves as queer. Queer is sometimes used to express their sexuality and gender that can be complicated because it changes through time.
Hi, guess what my orientation is? I am a person who is currently exploring my sexuality and gender. I am still in the process of curiosity and exploration. If you answered questioning, then you got it right.
May crush nga pala ako sa section natin. I am super attracted to her dahil napakatalino niya. Mayor. Can you guess my identity is? Yes, I consider myself sapisexual because I noticed that I am very attracted to intelligence of one's person.
So hi guys! I'm here again for another trivia. Romantic attraction versus romantic orientation. Do you know that these two are linked to each other? So romantic attraction is all about having an emotional response or an experience that results in the desire for a romantic relationship, but not necessarily sexual. While romantic orientation, it involves the way you identify yourself and how you experience romantic desire towards the gender or sex of people.
I'm a person who is very disinterested about sex and any sexual behavior. It is because of my past trauma and experience, which totally changes my perspective. Can you guess my identity? Yes, I'm a sexual averse. Quick trivia for awareness about sexual averse person. They are having phobias and avoid sexual contact with other people. And those or some people who are having this might have a sexual averse disorder.
So let's differentiate sexual attraction to sexual orientation. When we say sexual attraction, coming from the word itself, sexual and attraction, it is having an experience of sexual desire or arousal to another person or group of people. But sexual orientation is all about the way you present yourself and the way you experience sexual or romantic desire towards other gender or sex. Take note that it can change through time depending on different situations.
Hi, I am a person who is sex favorable. Most of the time, I have a positive feeling towards sex. Sex makes me happy and helps me distress. It may sound disgusting, but yes, I love sex.
I'm sex indifferent. I like being neutral where I can't be into lustful things. Chillax. Mag-judge ka muna.
I consider myself a sex repulsed. I am tandem with sex averse. If you like sex, well, we don't do that here.
Scoliosexual. I am more superior than sexual orientation, as I can get sexually attracted to non-cisgender identities like a transgender person.
I am spectrosexual. I'm like sexual orientation but in a wider aspects. I can be attracted with whoever I want regardless of gender, but not necessarily all. I can be choosy at times. Don't be.
I'm straight and I possess both romantic and sexual emotions, but I am limited to my opposite sex only. I'm also known as heterosexual.
So I'm here for another and last trivia that we have for today. Do you know that people who are cisgender and transgender can be straight? Yes, you heard it right. Because sometimes their labels can be too overwhelming. To end this discussion, no matter how many sexual and romantic orientation, attraction, behavior there can be, we should widen the scope of respect that we have and to not limit our respect to other people. Because we all go through a lot of process in discovering ourselves. We should be open and welcome these terms that discussed today because these are all people who can also make a difference in our society. That's all. Thank you for listening.